Hey everybody, good day. Welcome to Rana's Radar. Check out the cactus behind me. I'm in Arizona. I'm here in Cave Creek at Nate's Hot Rod Garage. Pretty special and unique shop, and I hope you all enjoy it. This is a full service, one-stop shop to get beautiful, traditional custom hot rods. It's not something that we see often, especially with all the technology and CNC machining, but there is so much that happens here, bringing the old ways into the new and keeping that driver functionality right at the top of the game. Nate's Hot Rod Garage is what today's episode is going to be about. So we're going to go inside and have a chat with him, see some of the projects, give you guys a good look. But I got to say, the desert is absolutely stunning, and this is a pretty cool stop. All right, everybody, I'm joined here now with Nate and Amanda. Thank you so much for allowing me through your doors.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
How's it going, you two?
Great. How are you?
This is a beautiful area.
Thank you.
We love it here.
You have really nestled yourself in the scenery here is just spectacular.
That is the biggest reason we bought up here. It's the view out in nature. I mean, there's a lot of cactus, a lot of mountains, a lot of hiking and things like that around here.
And I bet the clients would really enjoy that as well. It's so different from the other states.
It is.
How long has Nate's Hot Rod Garage been here for?
Been in this location just 2 years, but we've been open for 10.
Been open for 10. There's a lot happening inside the shop.
There is a lot happening. We're very blessed with the amount of projects we have in there right now. So
Custom hot rods. We've got some Slonaker, Amber, some big contending award-winning cars as well inside.
yes, we're very excited about those. They're a few years out. We're kind of in the beginning process of a lot of them, but very excited about introducing them in a few years.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Nate, and your background into the hot rods. How did everything get started?
It was pretty easy for me. I grew up in a hot rod family.
Okay.
So I hung around my grandfather, my father, my uncle, being around cars most of my life. I kind of veered off track for a little bit and went to pharmacy. That's where I met my wife, my better half. And I hung out there long enough to meet her, and then I got out after that.
So did you get Amanda into the cars, or did you like the cars as well at some stage?
I was never really a car person, but I know more about cars now than I ever thought I would.
There you go. There you go.
I can appreciate the history and all of the work that goes into this. So.
Well, the history is huge here at Nate's Hot Rod Garage, which does really excite me, everyone, because we see a lot of different shops, and with today's technology and changing times, and I love it. I mean, you get some really cool builds, but then Nate's Hot Rod Garage focuses a little bit more into preserving some of that nostalgia that people love.
Absolutely.
Let's go in and show everybody at home Nate's Hot Rod Garage here in Cave Creek, Arizona. Okay, this is quite a place.
Thank you.
We've got a lot happening here. A lot of beautiful projects. Where should we start, Nate?
Well, this area up here is kind of where we do a lot of fab up here, but we're doing some research and development on products that we're coming out with. So we have a lot of Hemi products, valve covers, intake manifold, the velocity stacks. These are all new parts that we're going to unveil at Grand National this year.
Here I thought it was just building hot rods, but you are actually making parts.
We are. We're just not doing it the way a lot of people are doing it these days. We're doing it more of the old school way. So we're going the casting route. So we spend a lot of time with molds. A lot of our molds have history, like the valve covers. The molds that we use for the valve covers date back to when Mickey Thompson was making his. A lot of it's newer, so like our log manifold and velocity stacks are more our design. Same with the small block Chevy. We've got timing covers, valve covers. We've got stuff for Buick nailhead. The small block and the Hemi will be what we introduce this year at Grand National. The Buick is a real fun project, but there's a few things that we want to iron out before we start debuting those parts. So that'll probably be mid-year next year.
So when you say back to old school ways, I'm guessing it's cast iron.
It's cast aluminum.
Cast aluminum.
Yep.
Cast iron would be very heavy.
Yep.
So when you said cast, I was wondering.
Yep. No, they're just cast aluminum. A lot of vintage castings. Some of them are new. Even if we are on a newer casting mold, we follow kind of the older look. We want to keep more of a traditional look alive and not so much a trendy look.
So how did they make it in the old days compared to today? What's the differences?
The big difference is instead of it being CNC'd or out of billet aluminum, most stuff was cast and then cleaned up from that stage. So castings through a mold process, through a sand process. So these are all sand castings. And then we would just clean it up from that point. So we can make these look a lot sharper, newer. But if you want more of that raw, old school hot rod feel, we can provide that too without having to do it with blasting and in a really nice CNC part and making it look old. So.
Okay, because that is a very big trend these days. Everybody wants to take the LSs, make it look like a 350,
Right.
and they're achieving it, but you've taken it a step further.
We just want to bring, so we'll even have some LS conversions and stuff later in the year next year, but we want to apply everything more of the way things were done, say in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s, before the billet era of the 90s.
I have seen a lot of different CNC machines and things being at work with the 3D printers. Is this easier, the process? Is it harder time-wise? And why have you particularly chosen? Because, I mean, so many people are using CNCs now.
It's a little of both. It's a little harder time-wise and finding somebody that will do it and do it well. There's not a lot of foundries out there that we can trust as much as we do the one that we're working with right now. The process really isn't that much shorter. It's very, the molds take time, and we understand that, but once you have them, then it's very easy to continue to make the parts over and over and over again. So we invest the time on the front side, and then we want to do more of a production deal instead of a one-off deal. We can do one-off, but we just usually don't.
How do you find your molds? Do you just build them from scratch? Okay.
Some are from scratch, and some of them are, like we have some Hamiltons and a Parker hanging up over there by my toolbox. Those are original 60s molds that we still continue to use today.
This is the stuff I was talking about, because there is so many traditional hot rodders, very old school out there.
Yep.
And they would appreciate it.
Those are
your clients.
Yeah, those are our clients. Those are our people. They speak the same language. We're very much into that. We're very much into magnesium. So we'll have some magnesium stuff coming out next year as well, just for that traditional client that wants the true old school feel. I'm
definitely very, very intrigued and interested, and I would love to see how the cast gets made. But let's go and look at some of the projects here. Now, you've got a few. We've got something in bare metal. Then you've got a Corvette, I believe.
It is. It's 64 Corvette. Has an aftermarket chassis underneath it with C6 suspension.
Yep.
This is just our mock-up motor. We have an all-aluminum 409 that's going into it. Have fender well headers, side pipes. It'll have a bit of both. It'll have a little bit of the modern, a bit of the old school feel. So it'll have, the wheels will be bigger just to clear the suspension, but they will have more of an old Halbrand feel to them. Okay. And then everything else is going to be kept very simple on the outside. Nothing too modern looking, I guess. With the all aluminum 409, it will still look like the motor that was out from 58 through 65, but it will be modernized with injection that looks like an old Corvette injection. It'll have a little bit of both. It'll have the good old school look, but it'll work like a modern engine. And that's a big thing for us, is not everything has to be an LS.
There you go. And what have you got here?
So this is a little Model A project that we've been working on for a couple years now. It's a lot of ideas that I've had that I've wanted to implement into one car. So it's a 32 chassis, and there's another shop that actually debuted a green Model A that was very similar in the fact of a 32 chassis with a Model A body, so it looks like the apron. I think it was Hot Rods and Hobbies. But we're using 29 fenders with a 31 body, 32 steps, 32 rails. It's our version of late 60s, early 70s drag feel. So magnesium wheels, it will perform. We've got a pretty insane 392 Hemi in there, putting out right around 1950 horsepower. A Lenco 3-speed behind it. We will drive it on the street. We've been working with Jimmy Smith on a final rendering. That won't be the color.
Okay.
But that is just an overall look as to what it might look like when it's done. It started out as wanting to make something that was reminiscent of a B400 32 Ford. We call it the A200. So the top will still be there, but it's removable. Kind of like Johnson's Rod Shop did it a few years ago with a removable hard top instead of having the soft top that came back.
And there was never a removable hard top at that time, yes. Right.
They had the Sport Coupe that was a soft, but it never left the rear quarter windows, and we wanted to leave the rear quarter windows. So everything's been moved around, massaged, made to the way we think it should be done, proportion-wise.
When it comes to the Model A's, one of the things that I have learned is that the front suspension and the arms always is where you're going to go about that. So what have you decided to do when it comes to the frame underneath?
So it starts with our front suspension, which is something we designed here in-house. and produce. It's called the Evo axle. It's a independent front end that looks like a traditional I-beam front end. It's fully independent. This one will be on torsion bars when it's all said and done. We offer it with springs that look like one spring that goes side to side, but it's technically two springs. We've got it on multiple cars. We've actually got it on an old car that we debuted at Sloniker a couple of years ago. There's a sedan project. So we've got them under about 8 or 9 cars right now.
Okay, so it's not a first time that you're doing it on this. Is that in your parts line as well?
It is. It is. They're a little on the pricey side just for the materials that go into them. Well worth it. And every one of them that we've sold, the customers have come back and just been beyond happy. So this one started with just American stamping 32 rails. And then we built everything from that portion back. It's on a low prep drag racing suspension in the back from Tin Soldier. That so that we can actually drag race it. While we're in raw steel, we'll drag race the car.
We're going to drag race this when it's in bare metal?
Yep.
When can I and when can everybody who attends the shows expect you in bare metal?
So we will,
Driving.
it won't be driving, but we will have the car out at Grand National in bare metal.
Okay.
And then there's a show in May up in Prescott. We'll be driving it up at that show there. And then from that point, we'll hit a few more shows. We have something kind of wild that we'll introduce. I won't necessarily touch on that right now, but some wild we'll introduce at the Gathering at the Rock in Oklahoma later in the year. So,
because there are cars here that we can't see and for a very good reason. But let's continue along. I mean, this is exciting to see drag racing in bare metal. I know the crowd's going to love it, but can I ask you this, Nate? Is that going to be a great opportunity? And is that why people do it, builders do it, by driving the car in bare metal, not only to show the work, but is that also a time for you guys to test things?
that's a big reason for us. We focus a lot on our steel work. We are not doing it just for the show aspect. We're doing it more to figure out if everything's where we want it and working the way we want it before we go to paint. Mm-hmm. I've done one car where I painted and needed to move things around, and I'll never do that again. So
I'm guessing that was a long time ago.
It was. So this is more just for us to, and it's something to go out and have fun and not have to stress the car once it's in paint and all that kind of stuff. So for us, it's a time to have fun with the car, but it's also figuring things out and getting it set right where we want it before we take it apart and make it look good for the show.
Something you can tell us about the client and their connection with this?
This client's one of the hardest ones I have to work with.
You might actually be watching this.
It's myself. So this is actually my car. It's actually my car. Okay. So I'm probably the pickiest client that I have. Every other client I have is phenomenal. From doing an amber build to just doing suspension work like we are here on the 41, all the clients I have are absolutely phenomenal.
But this is your own. Okay.
It is.
Okay. That's something like you're going to be drag racing with it as well. That's a pretty cool client. All right. Let's have a look at the 41.
So the 41's just in for suspension. We'll do a full frame on it. We're working with Justin over at Scott's. Mm-hmm. Putting a lot of his stuff underneath the car. It's a pretty simple build. Going to be a daily driver. Not really changing too much. Going to convert to a small block Chevy based on that 60s feel with the car. The one next to it, though, is a future amber car. It is loosely based on a 29 Roadster. There's a lot of things that in the next couple of years we'll continue taking this one out as we finish things up. We are in more of an idea stage right now, minus the chassis. So we've got a lot of the chassis things figured out, and the engine and even the engine's been kind of tossed around on maybe changing it up.
Love this. It's in the ideas. I mean, I am putting you on the spot because things are not finalized, and I'm asking you questions based on the 29 Roadster. So it's based on it, but I'm guessing it's...
Everything's being handmade for this one. So all aluminum panels. Underneath, we're basically making it look like a 32 chassis, but it's a cover that makes it to where we can hide wiring lines, everything else behind it, but not use a 32 frame. So the covers will be made in aluminum. The entire car, short of the chassis, will be all aluminum.
And what's the block? That
is actually a twin turbo V6 Ford motor, kind of like they used in the GT cars that they came out with later.
I don't think I have seen Roadster or any traditional hot rod with a twin turbo V6 in it yet.
It's definitely odd.
But
It
those
doesn't
are
follow
very,
the tradition side that we normally do, but
but it does follow today's trend. I
it
mean,
does.
okay, that's pretty cool. And the frame is boxed.
The frame is boxed.
This is going to be pretty neat. I know you're still in the idea stage, but okay, let's continue along. I mean, there's lots to see here. We can see some of the tools. We know, I can hear sound in the back, so there's people there. Let's see if we can hassle a few people. So you do everything in-house, is my understanding, a lot of the things?
We do. We do all the machining. The only thing we don't do is upholstery, and our casting process is done outside of here. But and any CNC work that we need, we haven't moved that in-house yet.
Okay.
Future plans of it. All of our metal shaping, our machine shop is in that room. Our metal shaping room is essentially out here.
Show me some of your tools here, Rick.
So we have the English wheel, or as we call it, the Polish wheel. It's a little bit different than an English wheel on how we can move things around. Shrinker stretcher. We've got a power hammer. It's a Maxco. Pull Max. Everything you would need to make any panel you would want to create for any car. So
What is one that you can't live without?
I would like to say it's just one, but it's all of them.
Okay.
They all have their own way of making things easier for us. It's all of them. I didn't know that I needed all of them until I didn't have them, and now that I have them, I don't ever want to have them or not have them. So,
Love it. Okay, who have we got here in the back? Danny.
Yes, hello.
I met you at the NSRA.
Yes, yes, you did. Danny Allen.
How long have you been here, and what's your role here at Nate's Hot Rod Garage?
I'm a little bit of a general everything kind of guy. Anything that needs to be done, from mile fabrication to cleaning the bathroom. I've been here for a couple of years. I moved to Arizona from California just to be around Nathan, because I saw a lot of innovative ideas and a lot of things that I wanted to be a part of. So that's why I came out here. I've been around hot rods all my life because of my father, who was also a hot rodder in the early 50s when he came back from Korea and got into anything that had an internal combustion engine. And I just passed on the DNA to me, so I had no choice.
So what was your first build?
My very first build, 1929 Ford Model A pickup.
Okay, that's why you're here. I mean,
Yes. He had a roadster pickup. I had the cracker box phone booth pickup. We had his and his pickups. So
oh, I love
that
it.
was we built them together. So that was nice.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. And what are you working on?
I'm just trying to figure out how to adapt these modern brakes to an older vehicle and make it work better than the old brakes. That's all. Little bit of engineering.
Danny, can we go inside your head and you can tell us a little bit of what's going on and
I'm at the
how
head.
you plan to...
I'm just at the head scratching phase right now. I really haven't figured it out. I'm just looking to see what the problem's going to be and what I'm going to encounter trying to make this all work together. So this is a very early stage.
And I'm not helping standing here with a camera in your face, am I?
Oh, no, that's fine. It's just, that those wheels turning sound that you hear and the smell of smoke, that's my brain trying to figure this out.
You're awesome. I'm going to leave you to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to see you again,
You
mate.
too. Thank you very much.
All right. There's someone else here as well. Hi.
Howdy. Sorry, I'm hiding in the back corner here.
Oh. What's your name, mate?
Andrew.
Andrew, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's your role here at Nate's?
I'm a fabricator / welder. I do a lot of the metalwork stuff like that. I do everything but the upholstery side of things. So just as far as right now, we're doing measurements. Getting on the new front timing covers.
Can I have a look?
Sure.
How long have you been...
on the mill?
All right, let's come over here.
Absolutely. I've been around Nate since I think day one. Probably not day one, but fairly far back. So yes, very familiar with how operations go and things go here. So
It's pretty cool stuff.
on my end. But yeah, no, we do all the lathing and milling and stuff like that here, and finish up work and sanding and whatnot. So yeah.
I'm going to let you get back to work.
Thank
But
you.
that's pretty cool. So nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are the lathe machines that I have seen before.
Yes.
The little bit, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm learning a lot, everybody, okay? That's why I still like to ask about the tools. What is this?
So that is a 1962 top fuel dragster.
You don't realize how long these things were until it's up there from floor to ceiling.
The fun part is that's even one of the shorter ones, just because it's an early chassis, but it fit in here perfect. I've always wanted to hang one on a wall. Eventually we'll build a body for it. We've got a spare motor that we'll put together for it and kind of cackle it from time to time.
You know, when it comes to yourself and building the parts, especially those cast aluminum parts, iron heads is something that is very, very hard to find.
They are.
They're very, very rare.
For an original set, yes.
For an original set.
Ferguson makes an aftermarket set, which are phenomenal. But to find an original, I think there were about 200 sets made. For the big V8, there were a lot less for the small V8.
What you're making would mimic a lot more of it being that original since it is cast as well.
Right. We won't do stuff where we're not tooled to do anything with the art and stuff, but and especially with Ferguson making newer heads, there's no sense. With him making them, I think it brings more value to the old original stuff because you've got both now.
You've got both now. This is how I met you.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, it was at the NSRA and it was part of the Builders Showcase.
It was.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. We were honored to be there.
You didn't talk much, in my opinion, and you think not, but I don't think I asked enough questions, but I was told that this is a very beautiful build, and there was a lot that went into it, not just the build, but the actual research. Tell my viewers who didn't get a chance to see that what I'm looking at right now.
It really started with the engine. We found an original set of Arden heads, and then we found an original Ital Mechanica blower. Once we found those two, me and the customer, Dennis Kilpatrick, we dove into the history of Zora, Arcus Duntov, who made the Arden heads. And we wanted to apply to this car what he might have done if he had technology from today or even later, and if he was making a Model A. So he actually helped with the independent front suspension on a racing team that they ran his Arden. So again, our independent front end. Later in his career, when he was working with Chevrolet, he brought disc brakes to all four corners for Corvette, independent rear suspension. So we applied those same aspects through here. We hide everything, or we tried our best to hide everything. So we're running Johnson's Kinmonts on the front and the back, but it's a winner's quick change center section, and then everything from that point out we built to make it towards outboard brakes. But we tried to hide everything to where it doesn't look like an independent rear suspension in the car. It looks just more like a traditional rear end. So it's one of those things where it's a compliment when people don't notice what we've done, like the knee action shocks that are hidden inside the frame and then come up to the front end, the way they can't see what's going on with the front end. I wish we could have the body off the car most of the time, just because the exhaust is insane.
Tell me this now. I did a little bit of reading. You've named it Zora.
It's the Smuggler, yeah.
The Smuggler, and there's a supercharger on there as well.
Yep. So
I didn't know there were superchargers at that time.
1948 was the date for this supercharger for the Ital Mechanica. These were shipped from Italy over here. This is pre-Scott. So Scott Superchargers, or Supercharger Company of Torino, today, this was before then. That was their initial run that they shipped over from Italy, and then they were running them with the Arden stuff at that point.
And he was a smuggler. What was he smuggling?
He was smuggling gold.
Gold.
And to tell you the two places where he was smuggling, I wouldn't be able to remember right now.
Well, I know that there is one secret compartment that I do want to see. I didn't get a chance to see last time when I saw this.
Yep.
And there is another place as well.
There's two compartments. So he used to hide it in one of the cross members of the car. So we have an old spring mount style cross member in the back of the car, and we put two plates up there that goes up. And we have a cover. I'll grab the cover for you real quick. So you take the two bolts out, and that cover will slide right back
and he
up
would just
in there.
put it on the cover, and then.
Yep. His was more towards the center. Ours is towards the back.
So this is what we're talking about. It's not just about building those traditional hot rods, but the amount of research and effort that has been put into this
Yeah.
to take it back exactly what the car was, what it was built for. And I mean, you didn't need to do that at all, but that's exactly what this car had.
So part of the history too, our records show that Dean Moon may have owned the Arden at one point. We actually went as far as to put the Moon fuel pressure gauge in for the injection to where Moon was still part of the motor. So all the little things that we want to keep with the car, keep with the history of the car, we try and think about those things, as well as giving it the design that it has. We try not to just put the history in, but the design as well.
Great innovation always comes from a need, a necessity. And at the time, I mean, the flatheads weren't that powerful at all.
Correct.
For him to try and supercharge it, and he did, and it did really well. And not only that, the headers as well was changed.
The heads make a huge difference. So that supercharger puts out barely any boost. It puts out, I think, 2 whole pounds of boost. And we're not going to push it any harder than that with it being an old unit. But the heads really livened up the motor. So there's we dynoed at 300 horsepower for the flathead, which we were very impressed with. A lot of that is in the cylinder heads, and then there's a stroker kit through the motor.
How long was this build?
This one took us 4 years.
4 years. I was expecting maybe even longer than that because there was so much research involved.
There were multiples of us, and it's one of those that went forward, and then we started to change some things. So this thing actually had a full standard rear end and rear suspension in it, and then it turned into the independent quick change later in the build process. So it would have probably been a little bit quicker had we not moved backward a little bit. But I'm so glad that we did, because it was the added ideas, and after we did some research and we found some things, we were so glad that the customer was on board for making those changes.
Did this help launch the parts production, this build?
Definitely for the front end. The rear end we haven't really done too much with. We love driving this car. We've got a video on our Instagram that shows us just driving up and down the road, but it's a very, very comfortable car to drive. But it did help with the front suspension on introducing it.
Can I see inside?
Absolutely.
Not only do I want to see inside as well, but I want to find out where that compartment was.
The compartment's actually outside. It's not inside. There's one outside.
Why did I think it might have been near the glove box?
Oh, there's actually no glove box in the car.
There is no glove box.
No.
Okay. So both the secret compartments is on the outside of the car.
Correct.
Oh, this is so neat. Where did the interior get done?
Armando's Custom Upholstery out in San Jacinto, California.
And that's how it would have been back in the day as well?
Having just a pocket there. The pockets were changed up a little bit styling wise, but that's because we wanted to make a matching purse for Dennis's wife, Beth.
Oh, I love that. It's pretty cool. But hey, what have you got here?
So this is something we may compete for Hot Rod of the Year in a few years with, but this is another car that debuted a rear suspension that we're offering. Coming probably right after Grand National, we'll start debuting all of our chassis. So we're gonna offer chassis for 28 through 32 to start, but they're gonna have all of our components. So it has our independent front end, but it has our lay down suspension for the back. Big thing, it's gonna be a sedan, and the big thing that we've never really liked with the sedans is seeing the springs in the back, or if you put the springs up high, it takes up floor space. And so this allows you to have a lot of room for your exhaust, a lot of room for the floor, so you can actually get that back seat, be able to, haul friends, family, but still works well. Still coilover in the back.
Is this one of your chassis?
This is one of ours. It has the front portion is similar to SoCal chassis. The rear bars that we have that hold our rear suspension in is kind of what's defining it. We've got a few more different things that we're going to do with the center sections. And then every car we have, we try and do something a little different with the engine. So this is a 292 Y block. It was originally supposed to be a 471. We did an adapter plate, put it over onto a 671. We're going to make our own headers for it, make the whole exhaust system for it. And it's running a 4-port just like the Hemi for my car, but it'll all be electronic fuel injection.
Wow. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Is that the rendering for it?
That is the rendering for it. We don't know if we're necessarily going to go the root beer route.
Well, I think paint changes up to the last week, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah. There's 4 different colors that he's kind of choosing from right now, so that's one of them. And hopefully this is the second car to have a set of magnesium wheels that we're working on for the cars right now. So
And there's the body.
there's the body. We actually found it was a very, very solid Model A body. We haven't really dove into it except for getting some of the sub rails out. That will be what we start tackling February or March next year.
Okay, now you've got another chassis here.
This one we didn't do a lot of the work on. So this is actually awesome customer. This is Rob Johnson's 33. He did all of this. We're doing the paint and body work on it, but he did all the chassis work. So very, very traditional car, more of a salt flat style with the Buick nail head. So, I mean, we got along great because we're all into the odd engines. So it worked out great.
And what year is this?
33 Ford. The
34.
body's actually in the booth right now. Probably in the next couple of weeks, it'll get sprayed.
Okay, hey, let's take out the booth here. Now you do have some things on the table. I'm guessing these are your parts?
Yeah, you caught us kind of when we're doing some photography for our new website. That'll be
Okay.
coming out in the next month or so.
So tell me exactly, what is this?
So this is our front suspension. So these are the 2 axle halves and the center that makes up everything that our front suspension turns into. So we turn it into a center steer. So this guy actually slides in. I can show the camera. Slides in, and then you have tie rods that come off, and then this is usually, we offer this for a cowl steer, which has no hole here, or this will go over to a Vega box or a steering box of your choice.
What makes it different from what already exists or existed?
The biggest thing, there was another independent I-beam done in, I think, the 90s by Fat Man Fabrications. He did his a completely different way. We actually talked with him at Louisville about this one. So one of the biggest things, we have a spherical bearing that we make to allow this to travel. Instead of it just traveling up and down, it travels in an arc, just like a modern front suspension would. So it travels from, say, this corner back to this corner. So it has anti-dive, it has all the aspects of front suspension that you would want. Just looks traditional. So.
Just looks traditional, but acts like a modern day suspension.
And then we do have a double shear plate that we put on to, one, it's for strength for these bolts, but it's also a secondary stop in case your steering bolt ever is to loosen up. It has a stop to where you're never going to lose that steering.
Is that something that did happen?
Not so much just because it wasn't center steer, but with us making it a center steer, we wanted to make sure that safety was a big aspect of this.
Wow, love it. And I can see you've got the bushings in here as well already.
Yep, there's bearings in the front and the bottom, or at the top and the bottom.
I mean, based on my understanding of your work with the Model A that was at the NSRA, the Zora, that's the name of it, isn't it?
Yep, the Smuggler. Yep.
The Smuggler.
Yep.
Very into details, very into research.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to translate into the parts as well.
That's what even if it's a casting part, that's our big thing, is to pull the research in, pull the history in. But this is definitely, we wanted it to not just be an average replacement for the front end. We wanted it to be something new and that actually worked well. So.
And how do you go about finding out exactly what it was like? I mean, you can't have all the parts from back in the day. Or do you have like parts that you would use as prototypes?
This is actually just strictly us making this on our own.
Okay.
So we took an I-beam axle and essentially in the beginning we split it into 3 pieces and then looked at how it worked. And then we went completely computer based on this one. So
Okay.
this is a little bit more of our modern side.
Love it. And you do have something else here on the table.
Yeah.
And then we've got to come back to, because there's a beautiful engine right there. And thank you, Amanda, for holding my camera now.
So this is a 409 timing cover that we're just going to model via the rotating cable to where there's a 360 view.
Can I pick it up?
Absolutely.
Wow, it's light.
Yeah, it is. So
Okay.
we've got the 409 timing cover there. We've got some Y-block valve covers, Buick valve or timing covers, some small block Chevy valve covers. All this stuff will start getting pictured for the website here soon.
And this is what Andrew was working on.
Yep, he was working on getting some of the stuff. We're making plates that go inside some of the areas for our tag, and he's machining out for that tag. So that's not one of the longer processes. It's not like when we're machining the flatness of this and this, that's usually what takes longer, but he was machining the pocket.
And that would say Nate's on it, or?
It's going to say Cool Aero Performance Products, so that's the name of our product.
That's a lot to get into a small space.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And it's only the Model A's, the parts that I'm guessing.
Yeah, the valve covers, the timing covers, all that stuff will be engine specific, so this is more of an engine side of our line. The front ends are anything 28 through, we've even had them on a 34, and they worked out great. We've had it on a car that was a fat fender car. They still work well, but it just depends on what you have for your frame and how much work you're willing to do to where they'll actually work really well. So we kind of stick 28 through 34 on the front end.
Okay. Now, I do want to ask about this.
So we touched base on this earlier about the engine for the Model A up there. I'm real excited about this one. My family, my father, my grandfather, and my uncle all own a machine shop here in town. And I've been wanting to build a kind of a crazy engine with my father for a long time. And this is the one that we decided on. It started with Amanda.
Amanda, please come back here.
We found these, so this was, a lot of people find cars as barn finds. We found two standard, great shape in a barn. And it was one of those where we were extremely excited, me and another guy that works here, Ken Keepers.
Were you looking for it, or you just stumbled upon it?
They actually called us and let us know that they had some parts, and Ken was the one that found it, and we made an offer, and the guy said absolutely, and we came home with them. Well, I was trying to decide whether to run that Y block that's in the sedan or something else in my own car, and Amanda said, well, why don't you run one of those Hemis you were so excited about?
There you go.
So she's the one that cost me a lot of money. But it's well worth it. I mean, it's the price for just parts alone is what kind of tends to get bigger for the old school Hemis. But we put the best of the best in that motor, and I am super excited to debut it, not only for me, but for my family's shop. So
it's got there's a supercharger on the Hemi.
There is a supercharger on the Hemi.
Okay, and then there's a blower, or?
So this is 4-port injection, just like what we're running on the sedan. We hid the injectors in a plate, so it looks more old school, but there's still all the electronic fuel injection. It's kind of hidden inside of that. Then 871 blower, and everything else on that is standard cast iron. A lot of shops tend to smooth it. We wanted to take it to that extreme amount. There's a couple shops out there that tend to do it. So we spent a ton of time smoothing out the cylinder heads, the block, intake manifold, things like that before we get it ready for paint. So,
can you push the cast iron material on the engines and stuff to have more power because it is so much more heavier metal, or that would not change things?
It's one of those where I just wanted it to stay cast, just where it matched more. We could have gone with aluminum heads and they would have held up perfectly fine. It's just one of those, we had them, and I wanted to, most people are like, why are you doing it with cast iron? But that's the different part, or different side of it, so. You
really are a traditional hot rodder, isn't he, Amanda?
Yeah.
It's very rare, and it's nice to see, honestly. What is the horsepower?
This is insanity.
Okay, what's insanity? Because the horsepower is rising every year. You know, a year ago,
maybe this is a wife's perspective.
1,000 was a lot. What's going on here?
So we figured that 1,000 horse is kind of a common thing anymore. So with the boost, right at about 30 pounds, we're sitting at 1,950 horsepower. But on
the trend for 2026, everybody is going to be 2,000 horsepower. I need to come to terms with that. I need to make my peace. 1,000 is still a lot to me, and it's exciting. Everybody's now saying 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
The craziest part is it's going to be on a 22 to 2,500 pound car. That's the fun part. So
a Model A with 2,000 horsepower.
That's the insane part of this. Yes.
Is that doable? Is that safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we've got.
What do you do?
For traction.
What do you do when it comes to having a lightweight body? And then, is that the placement of the engine where it goes on the frame?
So there was one thing that Amanda said that she wanted on the car when we started, and that was hood and sides. And so we are going to have hood and sides on this car.
What is that, a hood and sides?
So a top hood and then the side panels on the car, instead of it being open like the Smuggler was.
Okay.
So we did push the motor back 7.5 inches into the driver's compartment, pushed me back as far as I could go. So the engine placement's great. We set it really low, keep center of gravity low, so it'll function well. We've got some computer devices to keep traction where it needs to be and take out timing and things like that it needs to do when we...
Would you need to put any weight on towards the back on the rear suspension, adding a little bit of weight or lead in places?
A lot of it will be in the center, and with my size, it'll probably be on the right side. So.
Well, I'm definitely excited for that. So when did you say again that it was going to be finished and debuted?
It will be out at Grand National in Raw Steel, but it'll be running in May at a show up in Prescott.
There you go, everyone. And what have you got behind you?
So that is Rob Johnson's 33 Ford. That is his Salt Flats inspired car. That's what's going on that chassis out on the other side of the booth. So really, really neat build, really neat car. A ton of louvers. It will look great having the louvers. It's not great at sanding the louvers, but...
And it's not good cleaning them either. Somebody told me they used a toothbrush because they had about 500 louvers on the hood. But you know what? It does give a cool effect, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
This is pretty cool. Now, can I be nosy and ask where the stairs lead to? Is it like a loft or...
So
when Amanda is letting you, when Nate's been here for too long, you've actually had to put a bed up there for him.
This is the dog house.
Yeah. So the stairs lead up to, half of it is our library, but
before we get to where it leads up to, I'm loving the railing here.
So I called my dad. I wanted to make a railing that would be unique, and every one of that's 8 LS camshafts all welded together.
I love it. This is so cool.
We finally found something good to do with an LS camshaft. You can take that part out.
I mean,
you can take
I'm
that
not
part
going to
out.
take it out, Nate, okay? I really am not, because, you know, I do have an LS3 in the shop right now. That will be going in my truck.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So what is the, in your opinion, in your professional opinion, you feel free to give your 2 cents. Have you had a bad experience with the LSs or?
Everyone used to do it with the traditional small block Chevys, and now they're saying it about the LSs. It's just, you see them a lot more often, and so we like the oddball stuff, so that's why we tend to kind of tease them a little bit. But honestly, it's a great platform. You cannot beat the power and the price. So, but we just like giving people a hard time about them.
You're trying to save yourself now, but it's too late. Check that out. The shop looks pretty cool from this angle. All right. As you were saying, wow, this is like a library in here.
That's exactly what we set it up for. So this is our break room / lunch room, but it's also a library. So there's everything from hot rod, metal shaping, machining, basically anything and everything in there.
You've got a book on welding as well. Modern welding. It's an old book.
It is.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Most of the books that are in there are very vintage. We've got some first edition machining books here that are very, very old. So this is a great collection that us and Lauren Richards have put together.
Wow, this is pretty cool. Okay, now it's making sense, Nate. It's not out of the blue at all with yourself, with research and trying to keep to the history and heritage of the hot rods that you build. I am not surprised about this at all.
So the books end of it was more Lauren. We appreciate everything that he brought to the table with that. Our thing and it's the way I grew up, was magazines. So everything on this shelf
I didn't see this.
is collection of magazines. So Hot Rod is on basically the left 3 shelves, and then the last 2 over here are Street Rodder. We've got a lot of them organized. Not all of them yet, but we're starting to get them all dialed in, and then we just kind of pick up a book and start going through, and especially if we have a certain year that we're working on with a customer, we can really dive into what would have been done in that time frame.
Just off topic, I am distracted. Is that a singing fish?
It's not a singing fish. There's a funny story. That is actually the first fish I caught as a kid. And
oh, right. I thought it was one of those, I've seen one in the movies.
My grandfather
when the head
in
comes
Oklahoma.
Out, it used to scare me so much.
No, my grandfather in Oklahoma, I told him I wanted to actually keep that fish, and he had it stuffed basically to where we could bring it back. So
that is so cool. I didn't even know you could stuff a fish.
I didn't either.
It's probably the smallest they've ever stuffed.
But you know what, folks at home, and I guess, you know, potential clients, customers out there looking to get something built, this right here just screams how much of your passion for what you do. It's not just a business for you. It's not about just those checks and making money. This is what you love to do, and it's been with you since you were young. This is pretty cool.
Thank you.
This is pretty cool. And I hope your clients get to come up here as well and see.
They, especially now that everything is laid out, this is some place where if they're hanging out, if we're doing some maintenance on their cars or anything, they can come up here and just hang out on the couch, pick a magazine, a book, or just relax.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and what else happens here?
So we've got our drawing table over here. So we do a lot of our design work. There's a couple older drawings that we had put up, but we do 3D printing up here as well. So the computer and everything ties right into that 3D printer there. So if we're doing anything for mock-up, like what we were doing a couple weeks ago for the torsion bar, we'll make it first here before we start making either a file to have it CNC'd or to make a mold for it.
This is pretty cool. And who does the drawing? Who's penned and...
So I dabble in it a little bit. Lauren Richards does most of it. That's the main two for right now. Everyone's kind of working on it though. That's the great thing about my crew is they all do a little bit of everything. So we all push ourselves across the board to just have more and more skills to be able to bring to the table. So
this is a neat place, super neat place.
Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun. Let's go back downstairs. What's here? Now, where's your office before I leave?
It is right below us. These signs, so this is the Outriders Picnic is a picnic that's held in California. Danny is an Outrider. His father was an Outrider. Hardy Allen was his dad.
What's an Outrider?
It's the oldest car club in America. So great group of guys. We've gone the last few years, but that poster was from the first year that Danny was an Outrider. So he was on the list for a lot of years before he was actually able to become one.
He was on a list?
Yeah, there's a list. They only have 50 members.
50?
50 members only. So
and his dad was an actual member?
His dad was a member as well. When his dad passed, he was the oldest member around at that point. But yeah, there's a long history with Hardy. We're working on a video about Hardy. So there's a long history with him, and then there's some history with my family as far as the racing end of it is concerned. When we get down to the office, there's a couple pictures that I'll show you that are
I do want to see it, you know, and I'm asking Danny a little bit about himself, and he doesn't mention it, but...
Yeah, they're very humble. They don't say it, but I'm more than happy to brag about him and his dad, so...
Outriders, and what does it entail? I mean, I see a truck, I see a hot rod, I see a very custom.
They pick 3 cars every year just for a shirt. So this was on their shirt that year, but it was also a banner.
So it's not restricted to a certain class. Okay.
No.
But the oldest car club in the country.
Yep.
Outriders.
The picnic is if you get an opportunity to attend the picnic, it is an invite thing. So you kind of have to know a member to be able to get tickets to go, but phenomenal show.
Wow, love it. That's my fun fact for the day, everybody. Okay, usually the office is always at the front. So when I walk in for my shop tours, I can see and get to know the builder a little bit more. But this is your office, Nate.
It is. Office is kind of full of our remaining magazines. So we have a full collection of Rodder's Journal and a full collection of Rod and Custom. Those were kind of my 2 favorites. Not to say that there was a favorite over Hot Rod, though. I mean, it's hard to say, but there were a lot less Rod and Custom than there were Hot Rods, so that's why we kept Hot Rod upstairs. It's a clean room, too, so we keep a couple engines for the projects in here. The neat thing, so Lauren brought these as well. They're original Dave Bell pictures for what he used to do for Street Rodder, and this is the 25th anniversary. These are the originals for the 25th anniversary for Street Rodder.
Nice. I think I saw some of his work hanging in Alloway's office as well.
The very first one he did for Street Rodder is actually over in that corner by the fire extinguisher.
Nate, do you have a picture of Hardy?
I do. It's out here.
So nosy. Okay.
So this is Hardy Allen here with Dan Gurney. Hardy was crew chief for Gurney for a long time. So Hardy worked with Carroll Shelby. He was one of his employees. He worked with Dan Gurney for a lot of years. He was an engineer, had I think it was 3 or 4 engineering degrees. He knew a ton of different languages. It was really cool to get to know Hardy. He worked with, who else? Danny, you want to jump in here?
Please come here, Danny.
So we're bragging on your dad a little bit, bud. So I told her that he worked for Carroll Shelby, Dan Gurney.
That photograph's when he worked for Dan Gurney.
Yep.
They were in Indianapolis. He also worked with AJ Foyt.
Yep.
Terrible Herbst off-road team. He worked with Wiseman Transmissions when they were doing the transmissions for the McLaren Formula One team back in the 70s, 80s. He's been around quite a few.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Quite
huge
few
deal.
Famous, yes.
Yeah.
Famous
Indy,
races.
NASCAR, drag racing, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
He was doing salt flats racing. I think he was part of the team that broke a record.
Yeah, he
one
was
year.
on the team with Alti when we broke the record for piston-driven single-engine land speed record.
So he was an engineer.
Yes, engineer
Yeah.
mechanic. He was the refueler on that car when we were at Indy that year.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of a little bit of racing heritage there. in the family.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Now I can see why important it would be for yourself as well with that car that you're building.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great sentimental value.
Absolutely.
Behind us, that is actually my grandfather standing next to the stock car. So he still
This
holds.
one?
Yep. So he still holds records in Alliance, Nebraska, and a bunch of other tracks in Nebraska for stock car racing. Down below and to the left, that is actually me inside of a little sprint car.
Oh, wow.
As a kid with my great grandfather. So it has definitely been something that is part of my life, all of my life. So, and that was my ride during high school. So I drove an original Austin Mini Cooper for high school ride. I had the clown car in high school.
Out of all the cars that you could have had, that's pretty cool.
That car upset a lot of cars drag racing on the street. So it was a real fun one.
But your grandfather
Yep.
still holds the record. It has not been beat.
Correct.
And is that same as the junior stockers? What's the difference?
So there was a B, and C stock back then, so it would have been like super stock today. He raced asphalt and dirt with the same car, just depending on what they were doing that weekend. He would change the setup and tires and things like that.
Okay.
But the main one that he holds the records on is asphalt. So
A lot of heritage,
yeah,
a lot of history here. This has been a lot of fun.
thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
This has been great.
This has been a brilliant shop. So many amazing hot rods, traditional hot rods. You know, I'm always talking about preserving the history and making sure that if we find something that's original, then people who haven't seen it, the next generation, and people like me will get a chance to see exactly what it was like back in the day. And you are doing exactly that. Whereas even if you can't find it, then you are building it.
Trying to keep the tradition alive on the traditional side.
Well, everybody, Nate's Hot Rod Garage, do check out the description, and of course, for all contact details, give him a call. I know you've got a few and you've got your hands full, but check out the website as well. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.